Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to talk about something that hits closer to home than most people realize. Something that keeps you stuck, spinning in circles, staring at your to-do list, feeling frustrated, and then calling yourself lazy. I want to tell you today that you're not lazy. You're scared. That's right. Fear is what's really holding you back, and once you understand this, everything changes. Think about it for a second. How many times have you wanted to start something, maybe a new project, a workout routine, a side hustle, or even just a small habit, but instead, you waited. You waited for the perfect moment, the perfect day, or the perfect amount of energy to feel ready. And deep down, you knew it might never come. You've probably told yourself, I'll start tomorrow, only for tomorrow to turn into next week, next month, or even next year. That's fear, not laziness. Fear is sneaky. It hides behind excuses. It tells you that you're not ready, that you need more time, that you need more knowledge, that conditions must be perfect before you act. And here's the truth, conditions will never be perfect. You'll never feel 100% ready. If you wait for that perfect moment, you'll wait forever. And that's why the first step to getting started is understanding that it's okay to be scared. Most people think that being scared is a weakness, but it's not. Fear is a signal that you're about to grow, that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, that you're moving towards something bigger than yourself. Being scared is normal. The problem comes when fear stops you from moving forward. That's when fear turns into procrastination, avoidance, and self-doubt. But here's the key, you don't need to eliminate fear to start. You just need to move in spite of it. Now, let's break this down. Why are you scared? Why does fear stop you from starting, even when you know deep down that this is what you want? Usually, fear comes from three places: fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of the unknown. Fear of failure is the one that probably hits hardest. You imagine yourself starting something and then failing. You imagine all the time, effort, and energy you'll put in only to come up short. And that thought paralyzes you. You might even start planning endlessly, researching, preparing, and learning, all ways to avoid taking the leap because failure is scary. But here's the truth, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. Every successful person you admire has failed countless times. The only difference is they started before they felt ready. They embraced failure as feedback, as a stepping stone, as a teacher. Then there's fear of judgment. We live in a world where everyone is watching, or so it feels. You worry about what people will think if you start and don't do it perfectly. You imagine your friends, family, or colleagues noticing your mistakes, and that thought stops you in your tracks. But here's the thing, most people are too focused on themselves to be judging you as harshly as you imagine. And even if they do, their judgment doesn't define your worth or your potential. The people who succeed don't wait for approval. They start anyway, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Finally, there's fear of the unknown. This one is subtle, but powerful. Starting something new always comes with uncertainty. You don't know exactly how it will turn out. You don't know all the challenges you'll face, and that makes your brain uncomfortable. Our minds are wired to prefer certainty because it feels safe. But growth lives in uncertainty. The path to something great is always uncertain, and learning to tolerate that uncertainty is the key to starting before you're ready. So, now that we understand why fear stops you, let's talk about how to move forward anyway. How do you start before you're ready, before you feel confident, before the stars align? The first step is to redefine what starting actually means. Starting doesn't have to be perfect. Starting doesn't have to be monumental. Starting just means taking a single step, even a tiny one, in the direction of your goal. Think about it like this. If you want to run a marathon but you've never run before, starting doesn't mean running 26 miles tomorrow. It means putting on your shoes and running one block, one step, 1 minute, whatever you can. That's starting. And the more you start, the less intimidating the bigger steps become. Momentum is built by small, consistent action, not by waiting for motivation or confidence to magically appear. Another way to start before you're ready is to shift your focus from outcomes to process. Instead of asking yourself, "Am I ready? Will this work? Will I succeed?" ask yourself, "What can I do today to move one step forward?" Focus on the action, not the result. Fear often comes from obsessing over outcomes because outcomes are uncertain. Actions, on the other hand, are within your control. You can't control whether something will succeed, but you can control whether you show up and try. Accountability can also help you start. Tell someone what you're going to do. Make it public. When fear hits, that accountability becomes a motivator. You're no longer just letting yourself down, you're letting someone else down if you don't act. Sometimes that little external push is enough to break the inertia. Another powerful strategy is to lower the stakes. Fear often grows because the task seems too big, too important, or too risky. The way to counter that is to make it small, manageable, and low pressure. Instead of aiming to create a perfect product, create a rough draft. Instead of aiming to work out for an hour, start with 5 minutes. Instead of aiming to write a 3,000-word essay, write 300 words. By lowering the stakes, you give yourself permission to start without fear of failure. Visualization is another tool that can help. Imagine yourself taking the first step and experiencing the journey. Picture yourself stumbling, learning, and improving along the way. Visualization primes your mind for action, reduces anxiety, and makes the unknown feel more familiar. Combine visualization with small action steps, and you're giving yourself the courage to move forward. One of the most overlooked strategies for starting before you're ready is to embrace the idea of imperfection. The truth is, nothing you start will be perfect. Not your work, not your plan, not your execution. And that's okay. Perfectionism is a disguise for fear. It's a way to justify inaction. The moment you accept that imperfection is part of the process, the moment you give yourself permission to fail and learn, that's the moment fear loses its power. Another mindset shift that helps is to think of starting as experimentation. Instead of committing to a life-altering decision or a perfect outcome, frame your action as a test, an experiment. You're curious. You're exploring. You're learning. Experiments can fail, and that's fine. They're meant to fail, to teach, and to guide you towards something better. When you frame action as experimentation, fear becomes manageable because the stakes feel lower and learning becomes the reward. Consistency is key once you start. Fear doesn't disappear after one step, it comes back, sometimes stronger. The only way to keep fear from stopping you is to keep moving, even in the presence of fear. Every small action builds confidence. Every repeated effort weakens fear's grip. Momentum compounds. What feels impossible today will feel manageable tomorrow if you show up consistently. Let's talk about one more thing, the voice in your head. That voice that says, "You're not ready. Wait. You'll fail. You'll embarrass yourself." That's fear talking. Recognize it. Name it. Thank it for protecting you, but don't listen to it. Your fear voice is not your enemy, it's misguided. It wants to keep you safe, but it doesn't understand your potential. The more you act in spite of that voice, the less power it has over you. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about what you've been avoiding. Maybe it's starting a new business, picking up a skill, getting healthier, writing, creating content, or taking that leap you've dreamed about for years. Whatever it is, ask yourself this: if fear weren't holding me back, what would I do today? That's your starting point. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. One step. One action. One moment of courage. Remember, starting doesn't require readiness. It requires courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's taking action despite fear. The more you practice courage, the more natural it becomes. The more you start before you're ready, the more fear loses its power, and laziness becomes irrelevant. Let me tell you something else, most people are not lazy. They're scared. And fear is not permanent. It's a temporary feeling that fades once you act. The first step is always the hardest, but it's also the most transformative. Every journey, every success story, every breakthrough begins with that first step. And that first step is yours to take. So here's my challenge for you today. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until conditions are perfect. Don't wait for motivation to appear. Take one action, no matter how small, in the direction of what you've been dreaming about. Write it down, make a call, open the document, step outside, send that email, whatever your first step is, just do it. You'll be scared, and that's good. It means you're on the right path. Every step you take, no matter how imperfect, builds momentum. Every time you act despite fear, your confidence grows. Every small victory teaches you that fear is not an obstacle, it's a guide. It tells you where to push, where to grow, where to step into something bigger than yourself. And here's the truth that most people never admit: most of your fear is imagined. Your mind exaggerates the risks, the failures, and the judgment. Reality is usually much kinder than your thoughts. Start anyway, and you'll see this firsthand. You'll realize that fear was never as big as it felt. That feeling of being not ready will start to fade. That thing you thought you couldn't do becomes something you're capable of. In the end, starting before you're ready is not about perfection, courage, or talent. It's about showing up, taking action, and refusing to let fear control your life. It's about trusting yourself, trusting the process, and embracing the unknown. It's about understanding that growth, progress, and success don't come from waiting, they come from acting, failing, learning, and persisting. So don't call yourself lazy. Don't let fear define your potential. Recognize it, respect it, and move forward anyway. Start before you're ready, and you'll discover a version of yourself that's stronger, braver, and more capable than you ever imagined. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope this video gave you the push you needed to take that first step, to start before you feel ready, and to see fear as a signal, not a barrier. If you found this helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss more videos like this. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they're not lazy, they're just scared. And remember, every great journey begins with a single step. Don't wait. Start today.